have to look at it now and say you have to be considered as a serious candidate for this position on longer term.
We're going to hear from Barry Ferguson in a little moment, but Swanee, where do you think today's victory leaves Barry Ferguson in terms of getting the job permanently?
I think we're dealing with a very small sample size at this stage. I mean, if you wanted to play devil's advocate, Philippe Clement was able to get results in Europe and beat Celtic the last time. So I think you're dealing with a small sample size. You can't help but give Barry Ferguson credit. He's clearly come in and done something terrific. I would also be really interested to know the workings of the guys in behind him as well. I'm sure Neil McCann's had an influence tactically as well. The guys have all been working in tandem clearly, and they're coming up with good decisions and they're coming up with good plans, as was evident in Turkey against Fenerbahce and then again here today. But I think 5 games is maybe just a bit of a small sample size to be making calls like that at this stage for an ownership. What I would say is, you would certainly wish, if this was to continue, regardless of whether a new ownership wants a more glamorous name, for want of a better phrase, you would certainly want Barry Ferguson in the building, on the coaching staff, even if they don't see him as the main man.
Just on that, Swanee, I mean, Gary Taylor writes in here saying the Yanks will bring in a high-profile manager. Barry will be in a position at the club.
Yeah, I would think. I think as we stand at the moment, he's certainly doing enough to ensure that he's part of something going forward. But like I say, 5 games. It's a small sample size at the moment, but you cannot argue with the reaction that he's got from the players so far. It's been excellent.
See, just my opinion. I said this, I get slaughtered for it, by the way. A lot of people texting me going, "How can you?"
This keeps happening to you.
There's a theme emerging here. Look, how could you not have him at the front of the queue now? How could you not? I mean, look.
Well, you could if you've got your own ideas and you've got
But just to go back to what you were saying about the new owners, they might see if I was the new owner to come in, and we know he was there today. I pictured him at Andrew Kavanagh today. I'd look at it and just go, that's one less decision. I'll give them a go for even a 1-year rolling contract, see how they do.
I think that it feels right. I just think that, this job, and it was too big, and it was always too big for Philippe Clement. Mm-hmm. And you can see it from day one. And there have been previous examples. Pedro Caixinha, I was at his unveiling. I remember the day that he was given the job, and he was so unconvincing in the press conference. You just think, sometimes the job's just too big. Barry Ferguson, it feels as if it's fitting him like a glove right now.
It does feel that way.
It feels as if he's almost made for this. This is his moment. This is his time. And I think Swanee's right as well. Do you know what, Swanee? You know Patrick Stewart's independent review of the football side of the business? He's well just pulling that out, just ending it, paid up whatever dues, whatever money has been accrued. Just put Barry Ferguson, Neil McCann, Billy Dodds and Al McGregor into an office with the incoming owners. They'll tell you everything that's wrong, because they walked into it and they couldn't believe how far Rangers had drifted as a club in terms of their standards, in terms of the behaviours, just the way that people go about their work.
It was Rangers name only.
Yeah, that exactly right. It drifted so far it was almost unrecognisable from the club that they remembered. And I think that's job number 1 for them, has been to try and bring it back to something which resembles how they remembered Rangers looking.
Sorry, Keith, I think I finished. Apologies.
No, go on, Sonny.
No, I was just going to say that it reminds me a little bit of Neil Lennon coming in at Celtic Park when Tony Mowbray left. Just getting that instant bounce for the players and getting that response.
That's the thing, Swanee. I know this can happen a lot with interim managers, can't it? The players get a bounce. And actually, I don't want to sound too sanctimonious, right, but I think that's a good point that John makes. John says, why do Rangers only seem to turn up and win derby games when they don't matter in the grand scheme of things? Sure, they matter on the day, but the league's done and dusted. And I do think the Rangers, again, don't want to sound too kind of high and mighty, but the Rangers players need to look in the mirror, because how have they been playing like this and losing at Holme Motherwell and at Dundee and St Mirren and stuff like that? It's really poor.
The Motherwell one, Barry Ferguson will take ownership of that because he was in charge. But look, do you know what? I've just talked about a transformation in the mentality of these players. I believe that to be true. And I think that's attributable clearly to Barry Ferguson and his coaching staff. They've basically set about the place.
Aye.
They've basically gone in there and they've torn.
That's a great phrase, isn't it?
They've torn it upside down. Now, little things. For example, the kitchen staff, the people in the laundry room, they were kind of ostracised. They had their place and they had to stay in their place, and there was no mingling with the previous coaching staff or the previous manager. From day one, I know that they've made a point, Barry Ferguson, Neil McCann, Billy Dawes, of getting about the place, of just bringing a bit of life and energy and bringing it all together, making it a cohesive.
The thing you said last week about it's just a good place to go to work.
Yeah.
Like this place.
Yeah.